I have spent my entire life either at the schoolhouse, on the way to the schoolhouse, or talking about what happens in the schoolhouse. Both my parents were educators. My maternal grandparents were educators. And for the past 40 years, I've done the same thing. And so, needless to say, over those years, I've had a chance to look at education reform from a lot of perspectives.
So this is Rita Pierson. She is an educator, as she said. And in this TED Talk, what you are going to watch and what I'm going to provide commentary on is about championing students and what educators should do to support students in that area. All right, let's continue.
Some of those reforms have been good, some of them have been not so good. And we know why kids drop out. We know why kids don't learn. It's either poverty, low attendance, negative peer influences. We know why. But one of the things that we never discuss, or we rarely discuss, is the value and importance of human connection, relationships. James Comer says that no significant learning can occur without a significant relationship.
So, have you ever been to a school, attended a school, went to work, and you just went, put your head down, worked, and then left, and you found out that you didn't really have friends at all? It's because you didn't have that relationship, and so you didn't really learn, you didn't further your learning in any capacity because there were no relationships built. And I think that's what needs to happen in the school system is building that relationship where students learn and students learn from who they like. I can still remember my third grade teacher. I still remember her. And it's because she built that relationship with us. And I enjoyed that. She was firm yet kind. And I knew she was firm yet kind because she built that relationship with us.
George Washington Carver says all learning is understanding relationships. Everyone in this room has been affected by a teacher or an adult. For years, I have watched people teach. I have looked at the best and I've looked at some of the worst. A colleague said to me one time, they don't pay me to like the kids. They pay me to teach a lesson. The kids should learn it. I should teach it. They should learn it. Case closed.
And that kind of attitude does not allow students to learn. And it doesn't give you an opportunity to like your job. So it's kind of a cycle. So if you are that type of teacher, and at the end of every school year, at the end of every day, and you tell yourself, I don't like my job, or my job is laborious, or whatever it may be, you're creating that with that type of attitude.
Well, I said to her, you know, kids don't learn from people they don't like. She said, that's just a bunch of hooey. And I said to her, well, your year is going to be long and arduous, dear. Needless to say, it was. Some people think that you can either have it in you to build a relationship or you don't. I think Stephen Covey had the right idea. He said you ought to just throw in a few simple things, like seeking first to understand as opposed to being understood.
And we say that all the time, don't we? Is we're an introvert, we're an extrovert, we're an ambivert, we're both. And I'm just not that type of teacher. I'm not that, I don't do that. Like, I'm not a relationship builder. I'm not that good at it. That self-deprecating talk, that negative self-talk, all of that jazz. But what we need to do is we need to be intentional. We need to seek out what she was saying to understand. We need to do to others what we would want done to us. We would want people to seek out a relationship with us if we want to learn and if we want to enjoy the environment that we're in for at least 6 hours the school day. So we need to have that attitude, that good attitude of, I might not be that person outside of the school system, but I am choosing to be here every day. I'm collecting that paycheck and I am So I need to utilize my full day. I'm here most of the day, every single day. So I need to utilize it and maximize it and support these students by creating that relationship.
Things like apologizing. You ever thought about that? Tell a kid you're sorry, they're in shock. I taught a lesson once on ratios. I'm not real good with math, but I was working on it. And I got back and looked at that teacher edition. I taught the whole lesson wrong. So I came back to class the next day and I said, look, guys, I need to apologize. I taught the whole lesson wrong. I'm so sorry. They said, that's okay, Miss Pierson. You were so excited. We just let you go. I have had classes that were so low, so academically deficient that I cried. I wondered, how am I going to take this group in 9 months from where they are to where they need to be? And it was difficult. It was awfully hard.
That is the difficulty of pacing calendars in general education, where you need to move on from one subject or one concept, one lesson to the next, even when students did not master that previous concept. You got to move on. And thankfully, as a special education teacher and a literacy tutor, I can pause and not move on until the student masters it or close to masters the concepts. But that is super tough, is when you, as the teacher, know, you can see, you have assessed, you have built that rapport, that relationship building, where you know the students aren't where they need to be and they moved up grade levels, and you're thinking, how do they move past grade levels, and all of these thoughts. And the parents don't see it. The parents are saying, I don't see it at home, or whatever it may be. That is the tough part, but that's why you need to build those relationships not only with students, but with coworkers, collaborate, etc. Seek professional development for yourself. Watch YouTube videos like here with Rita Pierson, etc. Just search out and be that lifelong learner.
How do I raise the self-esteem of a child and his academic achievement at the same time? One year I came up with a bright idea. I told all my students, you were chosen to be in my class because I am the best teacher and you are the best students. They put us all together so we could show everybody else how to do it. One of the students said, really? I said, really? We have to show the other classes how to do it. So when we walk down the hall, people will notice us. So you can't make noise. You just have to strut. And I gave him a saying to say, I am somebody. I was somebody when I came. I'll be a better somebody when I leave. I am powerful and I am strong. I deserve the education that I get here. I have things to do, people to impress, and places to go.
Right. And I second that. And I do want to add too, as a special education teacher, that even special education students are also general education students as well. And they all deserve to learn, and they all need to have that positive self-talk, and they're all capable of knowing their potential, that we all have a potential. So just wanted to add that there too.
And they said, yeah. You say it long enough, it starts to be a part of you. And so I gave a quiz, 20 questions. Student missed 18. I put a +2 on his paper and a big smiley face. He said, Miss Pierson, is this an F? I said, yes. He said, then why'd you put a smiley face? I said, because you on the roll. You got 2 right. You didn't miss them all.
I love that. I love pointing out what they did right and also making sure that you capitalize on their strengths for their sake. I do this too as well, is if a student read the word as incorrectly, and they say is, I would say good, very close. There is a s in that word or whatever. I try to pick out what they do know, or I say You did great. Awesome. I love that you did not quit and you kept on going. You have that grit in you, or, just pick out something, give them that motivation, because we can always be grateful and thankful for something, and we have strengths. We all do have strengths in us. Let's keep going.
I said, and when we review this, won't you do better? He said, yes, ma'am, I can do better. You see, -18 sucks all the life out of you. +2 said, I ain't all bad. For years, I watched my mother take the time at recess to review, go on home visits in the afternoon, buy combs and brushes and peanut butter and crackers to put in her desk drawer for kids that needed to eat, and a washcloth and some soap for the kids who didn't smell so good. See, it's hard to teach kids who stink. And kids can be cruel. And so she kept those things in her desk, and years later, after she retired, I watched some of those same kids come through and say to her, Miss Walker, you made a difference in my life. You made it work for me. You made me feel like I was somebody when I knew at the bottom I wasn't. And I want you to just see what I've become. And when my mama died 2 years ago at 92, there were so many former students at her funeral. It brought tears to my eyes, not because she was gone, but because she left a legacy of relationships that could never disappear. How powerful would our world be if we had kids who were not afraid to take risks, who were not afraid to think, and who had a champion? Every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best that they can possibly be.
I totally, totally think the same thing. Is how different would our world be if we were those type of teachers, if we championed our children in that way, as well as when we focused on their strengths, not their weaknesses. If we didn't have that mentality of, I'm just going to come in and punch a card, come in, I'm on a salary, I don't even want to work these extra hours anyways, to lesson plan for these students, etc. How different would our world be if we were intentional and purposeful in that way? All right, I hope you guys like this video. Leave in the comments what you believe about teaching students in this way, community, building that relationship, building that rapport. How different would our world be? Don't forget to subscribe, leave that comment, and like this video so others can come over here too and learn about community and relationship building.